Hello everyone, my name is Kate Marshall. The name of this channel is called Inked Paper Art, and today is day 40 of a project I started at the first of the year. It's called 365 Days of Junk Journal Ideas. Today's day 40, we're going to be making some large corner pockets for pages in our junk journal. I'm going to be using the La Mode Illustré for the fashion ladies in here, so I will fussy cut out some of these ladies. For your pockets, all you need for today's project is a piece of cardstock. It can be a print, like I have just a printed, I scanned in some lace, and I'm just going to use that. So any type of digital that you have, if you need digitals, there's some listed in my Etsy. But because I'm working on blue journals, I have chosen a blue lacy kind of cardstock, and I just printed it. This is like, I don't know, 65-pound cardstock or something like that. It's not super thick, but it is sturdy enough to make a pocket out of. So just one 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock, or if you want to use a 12 by 12, whatever kind of, cardstock you have will work. This does not need to be double-sided, so a single-sided piece of cardstock will work for this project, which is great because I know a lot of us still have a lot of scrapbooking cardstock or paper that's thicker and it's single-sided, especially from paper pads. So it's a great project to use that up. I also have some lace to do some decorating at the end and a couple little other embellishments. But for starters, let's cut our pockets. Actually, let me start with fussy cutting the ladies. So I know that I'm going to make two large corner pockets, and I want to fussy cut out some ladies to go on those pockets as decoration. You can see I've been cutting up these magazines for a while. They have lots of fashion ladies in them. I do sell these in the live sale, so if you're looking for these fashion magazines, I think they might be for sale this Tuesday. If not this Tuesday, a Tuesday very soon. So let's cut out a couple of ladies and put the ladies on the pockets for decoration. These ladies here will work, and I might be able to get the 2 or 3 of those. Let's try these ones. So in these fashion magazines, they have differing numbers of illustrations. They have lace, like this is showing you all different kinds of ladies' handiwork, that kind of stuff. I also have this one. Let me take a quick peek. So this is a little darker and this is a little lighter. I do like the lighter version. I just need to make sure that they're going to fit onto my pockets. And so I've cut most of this one up. There isn't too much left to it. So I think we're going to go with these ladies, the first ladies I picked out over here. And I'm going to save this little girl up at the top. We will use her in a different project. So just going to cut this clean here. We'll use her different. And then for these ladies to fussy cut them, because there's 3 of them and like her hand overlaps, where she is here, this one's leaning like at a chair there or reaching for a chair. You have to be careful which way you cut them. If you want to save her hand here, you're going to end up losing this middle lady, which honestly her dress is kind of cut off anyway. So I think we're just going to go with the 2 side ladies and sacrifice that lady there. I'm just going to use my regular scissors and I'm just cutting around this. It doesn't have to be exact. We're going to be inking it anyway at the end. These magazines, if you are cutting up the originals, they cut up beautifully. And if you want to scan the magazines, like if you only buy one magazine, you probably want to scan it before you use the originals, or just scan it and use only the copies, the prints of it. But they do have quite a number of beautiful illustrations in them. And you can also use the lace patterns and things like that for backgrounds in your tags and journal pockets and things like that. So she has a little bit of a ruffly edge to her skirt here. And because this long piece is going to get in my way, we're just going to snip that off. And then you kind of have to use your imagination of where her skirt starts and stops, because the shadows are kind of dark in this one, but we've done our best there. And then we'll come up here and go around and getting caught up here too. Sometimes the little scissors are better. And so then we're going around her arm, and I'm going to cut right up in here where her fingers are. I don't see any way to save her arm and the lady at the same time. Although it does hurt me, but this one would have been a great one to scan before you cut it up, because you're going to end up losing that middle lady. You can use her bust, you can use just the top half of her. So I'm not saying that she's trash, but she's not going to be a full she won't be a full lady anymore by the time we're done. A full picture of a woman. Okay, so now around her face, that's the most fiddly part. Faces and fingers. And so because she's got a profile showing, you got to cut around all of her eyelashes, her nose, her lips, everything. Okay, we succeeded in that. So now we're just going around these little ruffles in her hair and her hat. And that's what she looks like. And we've got her fully cut out. And then you can see we lost that middle section, but you could still save the bust of this one and use it. So let's go ahead and work on this one. And again, I'm going to cut it from this side. I don't know why I generally do cut from this side of the ladies almost every time. I think maybe it's just easier to start with the back side and then work my way around. And so she has a very large bustle. That's what that little bump back there in the back is called. And she's got quite a bit of extra fabric and lace and all that goodness moving around. And so you can see you can cut these out pretty quickly. And they're definitely worth cutting out, fussy cutting. They're so beautiful when you get them on the pocket. And these are really large, nice pockets that we're making today. And so you're going to have 2 or 4, depending on how, the pattern of your cardstock, 2 or 4 large corner pockets that you're going to be able to put into your junk journal, and they're going to cover a good amount of page too. So sometimes you have a page, like specifically if you're using a junk journal kit, you might end up with a page that is just not your favorite page, or you like half the page but not the other half the page. So this pocket covers up quite a bit of a page. So you want to make sure that you position it accordingly when you glue it into your journal. And this pocket is so easy to make. You guys are going to be amazed whenever we do it. And so she was leaning her hand on the chair. There was not any more of her fingers. So we got what we got. She is kind of missing a little bit of her hand there, but there was no more fingers. The illustration itself did not have any fingers. So for this lady, I might just snip her off now. I'm just going to leave her. We'll see what happens. Maybe when I use her, I can have something else like the label or some flowers or something covering right there. I will save her. And of course, I'm saving the little girl. Whenever they're square like this, I generally just cut them out and put them right onto a journal card. So I will save those. Let's move on to cutting our pocket now that we have these ladies cut out. I can come in here and cut out this little section underneath her arm if I want to. I'm going to see how it looks on the pocket first. So there's our ladies cut out. Let's cut our pockets. So for this one, it's super, super easy. You're going to use your trimmer. You got to have a trimmer today. I mean, you don't have to. You could try freehanding this with scissors, but I like it with the trimmer. So my pattern is not really directional, and you want to choose a cardstock. You get 4 pockets out of 1 sheet of cardstock if your pattern is not directional. If your pattern is directional, such as like you have a focal point, in one of the corners or something, or you're using a pattern with birds on it and the birds, can't be upside down, then you're only going to get 2 pockets and you'll have some scraps to use in a different way. But for me, my pattern is not directional. It can go either way. It can go like this. Non-directional means you can literally turn your paper and you don't have anything that's upside down or hideous, right? So for me, I'm going to get 4 pockets. The first thing I'm going to do, because my journal pages this is an 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock. My journal pages, before I fold them to make a signature, are the same size. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut this in half at 5.5 along the long side, because I know my journal pages are also 5.5 wide. Now, you're not going to be able to get a 5.5 inch wide pocket on a 5.5 inch wide piece of paper, because when you make a journal, the pages kind of bow like this because they get decorations on them, etc. So I'm not going to worry about that at the moment. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut from point to point. You need to position your piece of paper where your point right here is in your cut groove. This line right here, that's where my cutting tool cuts from, right? So I'm going to position the first point in the groove right there so that it is in line. And then while that one is in line, perfectly centered in the groove, I'll hold it with my finger. And now I'm focusing on this point down here. And I want to hold this point at the groove and turn this one until it is also lined up with that groove right there. So now, if it doesn't move when I lift up my finger, we've got 2 points in the groove. Now, if you're slightly off, it is not going to matter, but you want point to line up in that groove, in that cut channel. From there, go ahead and close your cutter over and cut out your pocket. This right here just made me 2 full page corner pockets. 2. You're going to do the same thing with the next piece of cardstock. You're going to line up your corner here, and you're going to push it over and line up your corner there. I'm being pretty precise with that one. And then cut that one. And you got another 2 pockets. They're really beautiful pockets. Now, if you used a double-sided cardstock, you will be able to flip over one of your pockets and you will have opposing pockets. So you could put one on one side going this way in a journal page and one on one side going this way in a journal page. For me, I'm not concerned with it. I really just want 3 of these lacy blue pockets. So I'm going to pick out which 3 that I like the best. I know I only cut out 2 ladies, but for today's purpose, I'm just going to use these 2. I think I like the pattern on these 2 the best. And I will save these 2 to finish off camera. So for me, this is the way that these pockets go in a journal. I don't have a page handy. Let me make a page and we'll show you how those go. Before we get to that part, the next thing that we want to do is we want to ink around our pocket if you like inking. I am inking these only because this is a direct scan. So I literally took this piece of lace and put it onto my scanner and scanned it with a blue background. It's very white. It's not very vintage looking. So I do want to age this up just a little bit. I'm not going to, worry about super heavy inking it. I get what I get with my inker, right? And so it'd be better if I had a dry inker right now, a dry blending tool. And I'm just going to kind of try to add a little bit of grunge around the edge. I am trying to be sparing with it because, again, I don't want it to look dirty. I just want it to look a little more vintage. And so that's what I've got for inking around my pocket so far. And I know that I would like it to be a little bit lighter. So I'm going to go this one. And right now I'm just worrying about the edge, trying to use up the ink that is on my blending tool. And then you'll see that I will come back in and do some over the top inking just to help this look a little more vintage. So now I've got all the edges done. And the next thing I want to do is bring that ink in. And so for that, I want to cover up my work surface and I want to bring this ink in. And so I'm going to start by making circular motions with my ink blending tool. And I'm going to start and just kind of blend that ink in from the edge. And I can just go all the way around doing that circular motion. All the way around doing that circular motion. And that's why I wanted a more dry blending tool. So you can see I've got it inked up pretty well now. It looks a lot more vintage. I really like that look. This is where we started. Actually, this is where we started. So you can kind of see the progression. This is where we started. This was no ink. This was just inking around the edge. This was doing that circular motion where I brought the ink to the interior part of my pocket. So there's a different inking technique for you. A lot of people like just inking the edge, but if you want to make your piece look a little more vintage, do that circular motion and just bring it in. You'll see me do it again on the next pocket. And so I've still got that same amount of ink on my blending tool, and I'm just going to start and bring that ink in. Now for here, you don't want to bend up your corner, so be careful with it, and just bring that ink in. And I have my blending tool about 50-50, where it is 50% on my background and 50% on my paper, and I'm just bringing it in. Now this is getting kind of dry. My little blending tool is getting kind of dry. Again, that's okay. I don't want to re-ink because I will get dark edges if I did. So there's the next one. And you see how it just created that little shadow all the way around it? It looks so much better than the bright white, brand new, no grunginess, no aged, whatever. So this is the technique. It's just that circular little blend there, and then we're making a corner pocket. So you get a couple of little things in today's video. So here's our pockets. We have them, they're beautiful. So on a journal page, we're going to need to do a little trim here or here. It just depends on how it goes on our journal page. For now, I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to continue to decorate. And the next thing I want to do is figure out, do I want something behind these ladies? My ladies are actually just a little bit too tall, a little bit too big for these. Not a problem. I can resize the bottom of them. That's okay. They can lose a little bit of their dress. Not a problem at all. So there, those are great. Do we want some flowers? Do we want some book page back there? You could do some type of like scripty handwriting, which is what I think I'm going to do. So let me pull out a piece of scripty handwriting. We have some blue antique scripty handwriting, but because we have so much blue in this project, I think I'm going to go for, we could even do music paper. I did find some music paper that would look good in the background. So now we're talking about doing that collage, that layering on the front of our pocket to decorate it. So I could do some music page, and I'm trying to choose a little bit whiter of a music page. I do have some ledger back here, but I don't think I'm going to use ledger on these. I want this piece of antique handwriting. And so this is an antique handwritten document. That will look great back there. Do I have anything else in my bag of tricks over here to the side of me? So any of these, I'm going to put this back. It's beautiful. It's just a little scrap of an old German. This is actually a German ledger. And so I'm going to put that back. But we're going to work with some handwriting and possibly some music. Let's see. I think I want the handwriting, and I think I just like it because all of this is very delicate so far. We've got this very intricate, delicate lace pattern. We've got these, very fancy ladies here. And so I'm going to try to position her where I can make use of this height of my pocket. But I think I want this delicate handwriting. I'll keep this music off to the side in case. But we've got a couple little options for the handwriting here. And so let me pull out another sheet. I actually grabbed out another sheet because if you notice, this handwriting is very big spaced. There's a lot of white space between it, and the writing is pretty big. This one has a lot less white space. The writing is pretty close together. So I'm going to end up using this one on this project. The next thing that I want to do is I just want to tear a little section of it. It doesn't really matter to me how it tears. I just want to tear a little section. I could decide to use either part of this. I think for the bottom part of this one, I will use that. Oh, this paper did not tear well, but that's all right. We got our two pieces. So I'm just looking for a little bit of layering in here with the ladies. I'm going to keep my decoration up a little bit away from the bottom because I know I'm going to add lace at the end of these pockets. So we've got a little bit of handwriting there. We've got a little bit of handwriting here on this one. Let's just make this go this way. And we can use that right across there. We might actually have the handwriting on top of the lady. Let me see. Maybe right across the top of the lady even. Okay, I'm liking that. So the next thing I want to do is you could ink that handwriting if you wanted to. I don't think I'm going to ink the ladies. They look pretty good. They're not, there's not any white space because they are antique as well. I do want to add just the tiniest bit of inking around this. I apologize, we're going to go over on time today a little tiny bit, but we're going to end up with finished projects that are fully decorated, so that's good. And we did talk about a couple of different things today. We talked about the corner pockets, and we talked about the inking technique. So I'm going to use the UHU glue stick for gluing up your original ladies. And I've said this before, you want to make sure that gluing your original ladies, you are going to have a nice fresh glue stick that is moist, because you don't want anything that's going to create tension when you're dragging it across your originals. Originals like this, they can be kind of fragile. These are from French fashion magazines, which are actually printed on like a newsprint kind of print paper. So they are a little bit fragile. Now I glued up the whole entire thing, and I really did not need to. I don't want to lose her bow and the back part of her dress, so I'm going to get her pretty close. Not over the edge, but pretty close there. Don't want any wrinkles in her. There we go. And there's her. She's glued down. And we'll cut off whatever's hanging off the side there. And then we'll glue up this one. And so there's that. So a nice fresh glue stick for gluing up antique, original, or vintage items. And then we're almost done. We've got her on here. I do want to add the lace to the bottoms of these too. And I don't want to lose any of her hat, so I'm going to slide her down a little bit. The glue stick also allows you some nice wiggle room to move your projects around on your page, where you wouldn't get that with art glitter. So there's our pocket so far. Let's get our handwriting glued up and put on there. I like the little bit of handwriting. We will also add some labels. I could come in and add a little fussy cut floral. There's lots and lots of different things we could do. I'm going to keep these up just a little bit because I do want to come in with another element. So there's my handwriting for that one. And then my handwriting for this one, gluing on the right side. It's hard when it's an original. It's got handwriting that's beautiful on both sides. And then there's that one. And so keeping it up a little bit again, because I want to put other elements on. And so I want to leave space for that other element down here. And I know I will also have lace on these. So at this point, I need to do the final trim. So that means I need to cut off anything that's hanging over the edge. And these are, like I said, 65-pound cardstock or thereabouts. It is a lighter weight cardstock. Perfect for making pockets because it doesn't add a lot of bulk into your journal. So I've done the final trim. From here, we don't have any more glue stick kind of decorating unless it's just a little label or something. So there's our pockets. And then I need to just do that little label or whatever final decoration and lace. Right now I'm going to move to the lace part. We'll see, I've got a couple laces pulled. So I could do something like this. I want a lace that's kind of wide that will hang out the bottom of my journal. So I've got something that's white like this that can go across there and hang out the bottom. That's a nice one. I like the white lace because there's a white lace in the background. But I also pulled this lace. And this lace is a little more antique looking, a little more vintage. I like both of them. Sometimes I like to layer two laces onto one project. And I think that's where I'm going to end up here, is I'm going to actually layer the cream lace at the bottom and the white lace on top. And I'm just going to keep going with this decorating. If I go a little too long, you guys will have to forgive me. So I'm just going to trim a couple pieces of this. I will get this done as quick as I can. Maybe I don't need to actually make both of them, but you guys will see me make one here. And so I'm going to use my Fabri-Tac because I'm gluing lace to cardstock. And you can see these are starting to curl just a little bit. Don't worry about the curling. They will straighten out as they dry. And so I'm adding a good layer of Fabri-Tac here, bringing it up a little bit so that there is enough Fabri-Tac on my paper to hold my lace. And you got to find the right side of your lace. And I am bringing my lace up just a little bit there. And I do have the silicone spatula, and this is how you tap down your lace with the silicone spatula so you don't end up getting it on your fingers, because the Fabri-Tac will seep through. It will seep through your lace, obviously. And so when you double lace, you also have to double glue. So I'm going to add more glue over the top of that first lace. And you don't have to add as much the second time, but you do need to do a little bit more. And then for this one, I'm going to choose, going to choose this little bit of section of lace here. And so there's that. So we'll just finish this one here, and let me position this back where it needs to go. So I want to actually put my lace to where it's a little bit offset. Let's see if I can get that to happen right there. So it's not directly over the top, but it is there. And so that's where we're at. I'm going to stop the video. I just don't want it to go too long. But just know that in the end, I could have put a small lace going up this way. I am going to do a little more decoration. But for your journal page, this is how it's going to look on your journal page. So when this journal page is in my journal, my pocket will end up going on the journal page like this, and it will cover that whole half of a page. And so you'll be able to come in with a big, nice journal card or tag or whatever and get it in that pocket. So when you glue your pocket on your page, you glue the bottom and you glue all the way up the long side, and you leave this side here completely open to use it as a pocket. So you can see I got just a couple more minutes of decorating and then I would be finished. I'm going to let you guys go for the day. I hope that you guys had a great weekend, and I will see you guys back here in the morning for the day 41. Gosh, 41 of 365 junk journal ideas. Thanks, guys. Bye.